in Ozamiz City. You're watching One TV News Channel. One TV News Channel. Serving you with information, news, sports, and public affairs. One TV News Channel. One TV News Channel. Serving you with love. Ang telebisyong pangmasa. One TV News Channel. One TV News Channel. One TV special report.
Yes, once again, good afternoon to each and every one of us. May I request Honorable Majority Floor Leader, Honorable Marcian Tapayan for the order of business today's special session.
Yes, Honorable Chair, thank you. Good afternoon everyone. Supposed to be have only one agenda for this afternoon's special session because we deferred the tackling of the ordinance last session last Tuesday, December 16 to today, and in view of the consideration that there was already a position paper submitted by the Ozamiz Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and there was also a position paper submitted by the Ozamiz Chamber of Commerce on Tuesday itself, in the afternoon, and the members of the body have to study further the ordinance to have a balancing act to consider all avenues, all parameters on circumstances surrounding the ordinance. So we deferred it today. However, there is one request for insertion, Honorable Chair. The request of the by Council of Tinago to include in our agenda today their supplemental budget number 2 for calendar year 2025, totaling with the total amount of 325,942 pesos and 38 centavos, Honorable Chair. So I move motion to approve the agenda for today with one insertion, Honorable Chair, the buying budget of Tinago, supplemental budget number 2, Tinago. On your motion.
There is a joint motion of the Honorable Majority Floor Leader for the approval of our agenda for today with one inclusion as being presented. Motion approved.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Our main agenda is to decide on the recommendation to approve for second reading an ordinance amending section 3A.02, the tax on retailers, section 3A.02, A, tax on conductors and other independent contractors, and sectors 5J.01, service fees on garbage collection of ordinance number 1059-13, otherwise known as the 2013 Revised Omnibus Revenue Code of Ozamiz City. Honorable Chair, we have initial television last Thursday, and we had a caucus of all members of this August Valley this morning, together with our city mayor and our legal officers and our city administrator. And the city mayor, the city administrator, and the legal officer presented also the position paper, Honorable Chair, and argued the arguments being raised by the Ozamiz City Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Philippine Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Honorable Chair, so we are now in a position to decide, and after almost 3 hours of debate among members of this August body, we come up with the final decision, Honorable Chair, on the rates of the retailer's tax. Hence, Honorable Chair, I move the motion to approve this ordinance for the second reading at the rates being agreed by this August body, Honorable Chair.
There's a motion to approve on the second reading the proposed ordinance as being presented by the Honorable Majority Floor Leader. Any
Madam
comment?
Chair,
Yes.
may I present my manifestation?
Yes, go ahead, Honorable Ko.
This representation would just like to manifest the following regarding the proposed amending ordinance on retailers, tax on retailers. That in Section 191 of the Local Government Code states that the LGU can adjust the tax rates not often than once in every 5 years, and such adjustment must not exceed 10% of the rates fixed under this code, which are the 2% and the 1% stipulated in Section 143, letter D of the code. Hence, the 10% allowed of 2% would result to a maximum allowable increase from 1.1% to 1.3% in the case of Ozamiz City, and the 10% of 1% would result to an increase from 0.275% to 0.375%. Second, the mentioned interpretation is consistent with the Supreme Court in Mindanao Shopping Distribution Corporation, Ace Hardware et al. Versus Duterte et al. Court case on June 6, 2017, which provides that the limitation under Section 191 of the LGC was provided to guard against possible abuse of the LGU's power to tax, as long as there is an existing ordinance adherent to the Local Government Code of 1991, which is now the Revenue Code of Ozamiz City 1993, and that there is a subsequent ordinance which seeks to impose an increase in the existing rate as what is currently ongoing in Ozamiz City. This proposed ordinance presents a 400% or more increase in the tax rate, which can outrightly be considered as exorbitant, excessive, and or confiscatory. If this is approved, we might be passing a law that is contrary to the Local Government Code, especially in Section 191. Again, the LGC allows a maximum increase of 10% at a time, hangtod ni moabot sa maximum rate allowed by Section 151, which is 50% of 2% and 50% of 1% from the tax base amount range. This august body, to be clear, this representation does not object to the tax increase adjustment, but has reservations on the set rates. Therefore, this representation would like to appeal to this august body to reconsider the position papers of the two chambers along with the recommendations given by the members of the Sanggunian present during the public hearing, and to study and dig further so to come up with a fair and just rate of increase. And lastly, avoid railroading the process, since Section 468, number 1, states that the Sanggunian Panlalawigan shall review all ordinances issued by the mayor to determine whether these are within the scope of the prescribed powers of the Sanggunian and by the mayor, Sanggunian Panglungsod and by the mayor. Let us remember that we and not any department unit of the LGU are the authors and proponent of all the legislations that we passed. so that we are the ones accountable to whatever impact or implications this may bring, especially during the post-approval and implementation period. And that is all of my manifestation, Madam Chair, and this August body. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ko. Is there any reactions?
Honorable Sir,
Yes, from the manifestation.
we understand, of
Honorable.
course, the manifestation of Honorable Ko because she was not present this morning when we debated on this ordinance because she arrived only on time at 12 o'clock. Honorable Sir, may I manifest what we discussed this morning? It's correct that there was that decision of Supreme Court in Mindanao Shopping Destination Corporation et al. Versus Duterte, year number 211093, dated June 6, 2017, where the Supreme Court ruled on the 6191 being quoted by Honorable Ko. 6191 says that local government units shall have the authority to adjust the tax rates as prescribed herein, not oftener than once every 5 years. But in no case shall adjustment exceed 10% of the rates fixed under this code, not under the ordinance, not under our Omnibus Revenue Code of 2013. So, fixed under this code. So, it connotes that 611 applies only when the following conditions concur. When there exists an existing tax ordinance that validly imposes taxes in accordance with the provisions of local government code. However, unfortunately, our tax code in 2013 is not compliant, Honorable Sir. It was being attacked by local Bureau of Local Government Finance as non-compliant, and we are urged to comply. And although there was no threat of the possibility of any liability for administrative negligence or non-presence, Honorable Sir, but we assume there was an incidental
Reaction.
message that if we fail to comply with local government tax code, we might be subjected to liability for non-presence, Honorable Sir. Our adjustment of the tax rates, I again reiterate, first, there should exist a valid tax ordinance that complies with the local government code. And second, there should be a subsequent ordinance that adjusts the tax rates fixed by such valid ordinance. However, our tax rates are not valid. It's not compliant with local government code. So, we cannot apply this 10%, Honorable Sir, as manifested by Honorable Ko, because of the conditions set by that jurisprudence by decision on Mindanao Shopping Destination Corporation versus Duterte, Honorable Sir. So, these conditions does not apply to the city of Ozamiz. Local government code, Section 191, contemplates a situation where an earlier valid and local government compliant ordinance or tax rate is merely being adjusted. Where the earlier ordinance imposed taxes inconsistent with or lower than those authorized by local government code, thus an ordinance correcting such rates cannot be treated as an adjustment within a contemplation of Section 191. Kaya kung ako minsayon, kung na-comply pa sa tax rate nga provide sa local government code, mag-adjust kung mag-adjust muna ma-apply ang 10%. Pero wala ang tamang comply. We are non-compliant. So, ang atong himo karon is only to comply with the local government code. What na mag-increase our action is to comply. Otherwise, we'll be subjected to any sanction by the government, national government, the Bureau of Local Government Finance, because of our non-compliance. So we now impose taxes to comply with the local government, to correct, to rectify an error which our LGO failed to comply. For how many years? Honorable Chair.
13.
So we want to comply. We are not increasing the rate. We are not only complying. So we might be misunderstood that na increase the rate. The Bureau of Local Government Finance only advised us to comply with the local tax code, compliant, and that our rate should be not retrogressive. It must be progressive, meaning nakadako ang amount sa income, nakadako ang rates. Kaya ang atong rates, ang gamay nga income, i-tax, kudako. Makadako income, nakagamay ang tax. So our attention was called by the BGF not earlier than last year. And this year it is again reiterated during the ACID conference last August. Our attention was called by the BGF to comply with the code lest that they might have to recommend sanctions against this LGO. So the tax rates being existent now is really if you had to have the right word, it could be voided. Because in the case of Manila versus Coca-Cola Bottlers Philippines Incorporated Business City of Manila, the BGF declared Manila Tax Ordinance 7988 null and void for having been enacted in contravention of the local government code, which we did. Nag-enact ang ordinance nga not compliant. Magali ulay nag-complain, so wala tama himong null and void. Because the ordinance, which is in contravention with local government code, what we are doing now is to correct, to rectify. We are not increasing, because if we increase, that's why that's just a time with 10% applies. We just corrected the rate, Honorable Chair, and we can decide between 1.5 and 1. Di na tamang magdula, kaya kung upos sa 1, will be non-compliant, Honorable Chair. So that's the debate this morning. I can say that Honorable Lord Repetis is very active, and Honorable Lim, Katatim is very active. Attorney Daniel Lau also is very active in the debate to really limit the increase. But there is no increase. You want only to comply, Honorable Chair. So that's the gist of the position paper of the city mayor, the city treasurer, and the city legal officers, and city admin to recommend 1.5. However, because of the allowable rate that we are allowed, mo nang kita atong reduce. Wata mo tuman sa recommendation sa mayor, recommendation sa city admin, recommendation sa legal officers, atong gilower pa gyud. Because we want to have a tax rate as lowest as possible, because we want to be best friendly to the businessmen or business. So ato gyud nga gilower. Wata mo tuo sa mituo ta, pero we adjusted the rates being proposed by the city legal officers, the city administrator, and the city mayor, and city treasurer. So the council has come up with a decision this morning after a thorough debate and discussion of almost 3 hours. Nga humato, we consider all arguments, including the arguments being now stated by Honorable Ko. Ato nang gituki kay na muntag. We are sorry nga wala ka. Pero amo nang gibalik-balik ko tuki ka na muntag about that. And we finally came to a decision. Kanina ay nag-propose lower than 1%. Kanina. Napoy na propose nga 1.5 na. But we try to harmonize everything. We consider all parameters, Honorable Sir, and we come up with this final decision to fix the rate at 1.2% for 400,000 and up, Honorable Sir.
Okay. Thank you for your manifestation, Honorable Major, the floor leader. Yes, you may add something, Honorable Suizo.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Listening to the manifestation of the Honorable Cecil Coas and also the Honorable Mars Tapayan, ako lang yung i-emphasize ang unsay mga highlights sa ilahang manifestation. First, wala tay istoryahan nga increase because this is not an increase. This is just kanang compliant kay katong mga previous nga mga ordinansa way back 2013 nga gisigig amen, we found out nga dili di ay to siya compliant sa local government code. In fact, copy-paste tanan, appeal ang 10%, tapos sa retailers ra pagyud nagtaga-problema. So again, no, walay increase ang ato ang gi-istoryahan karon kay it does not kanang apply sa ato ang gihimo karon nga action. Second, kung compliant rata kay igo ra man taning rectify sa sayop nga ordinansa adtong 2013 katong atong gikahadlukan nga base sa atong sa LGC code nga dapat mag-increase ra tag 10%, dili to mo apply because we're just rectifying, not increasing. So dito mo apply si 10%. So probably we could not be liable for any legal or administrative action to that. Ang atong gikahadlukan lang gyud ani is this. Kung dili gyud ni nato i-impose ang angayan para sa Ozamiz, we could be sanctioned by the BGLC. Sila na pod ang mo-file natong anong wala man ninyo trabaho nga dapat kani inyong himuon. Sila na gyud mismo. And when we say BGLC, grabe ra ba gyud kay na sila ka stricto when it comes to filing administrative o kaning criminal case. For not, wala na to gi-implement, wa ta himo og action to that. Mas mahadlok pa kuan ng kasuan ta sa BGLC kaysa kasuan ta sa mga taxpayer. Kay daghan na mag-jurisprudence sa Mindanao Shopping versus Duterte o mga previous katuging Manila nga katubit ang ilang gi-implement nga kasuan sa Coca-Cola nga nung ilang gi-implement nga katong ilahang increase dili man to siya valid, gibalik yun sa korte, nakadaog yun ang Coca-Cola ang taxpayer. So that is my manifestation, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable
Honorable Sir,
Suizo.
I may add only the
Yes.
empirical antecedent, Honorable Sir. Our Omnibus Revenue Code adopted all rates in the tax code or local government code 1991 except retailers tax. Muna yung nagkaproblema. Adopted except retailers tax. Muna, when we assumed office in 2019, meeting sa mga estudyante, there was an attempt by Mayor Ando, then Mayor Ando, now Congressman, to increase our rate on retailers because statistician was also called at the time. But considering the pandemic, we passed pandemic in 2020, 21, murag nagtakot ato ang meeting sa mga estudyante 2021. So, isupak na po mga estudyante, munang wala mo dayon. Wala mo dayon adjust. Supposed to be 2013, 5 years. On 2013 is 2018. Mag-adjust na 2018. Adjust na wala man. Mutong si may ando, iyaw tayong adjust. Bago pang pandemic, hina yung negosyo, at napiktahan sa virus. So, wala mo dayon. So, 2018, kung nag-revise pa, next revision is 2023. Wala kayo punta mag-revise. So, muna ka karoon pa tayo. There are 2 revisions na wala tayo maghimo.
Okay.
Honorable Sir. Unya, ang section na 190, manifested by Honorable sa Swiso na ingon nga an attempt to enforce a void or suspended tax ordinance and the measure after due notice of the disapproval or suspension thereof shall be sufficient ground for administrative disciplinary action against the local officials and employees possible therefore. Nga ato natin i-code na civil chief last year, wala tamutuman. No? Nga last August, i-code na po nga i-adjust itong rate to comply with local government code. When we have to comply, less that we may be sanctioned under Article 190, Section 190 of the Local Government Code. Administrative disciplinary action against local officials and employees for failure to comply with local government code. Despite notice, identify natin sa Biljep, okay, hapon tayo comply, pero wala pa sila notice nga isuspend. Itakan talagliwi nga will act on our own kay ingangyo ta si Miyosam taga make time kay we have to explain everything to the businessmen, pag-explain to everything to all stakeholders ang among pag-rectify sa among rate sa retailers tax to comply with the local government code. So wala taga pa suspension, wala taga disapproval. We are allowed to correct, and that is what we are doing now. We are rectifying, we are correcting, and the actual measure is really not an increase. Ikaw lang tayo comply sa local government code. Ano sir?
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Bayan. May we hear from Honorable Lao for additional info?